Thank you for stopping by my channel. In this video, I would like to share with you that I got a chance to inspect a Honus Wagner card in person. Well, of course, it wasn't exactly like that. In the past few months, my email account got spammed with junk mails every 2 minutes and gotten thousands of emails each day. Because of that, I've stopped checking my emails regularly. Instead, I only check weekly just to delete all spam mails so that it won't go over my storage limit. Anyways, 2 weeks ago, I was doing my weekly routine deleting emails and just so happened a few emails caught my attention. Since somebody emailed me a few times in a day and attached a few pictures in those emails, the email was like that.
I am not sure if this is the appropriate email, but I wanted to reach out. My grandfather passed away, and there was a box left in his estate with only one card, which is the Piedmont Honus Wagner card. I went to a few baseball shops, and they all said it is authentic. They examined it for 4 hours, noting its oil base and the corrosion on the card. I would like a little bit of help.
Just to make things easier from now on, I refer the person who sent me those emails as Jeffy. Anyways, of course, I receive emails requests like this every week, and I can quickly make a decision that 99% of the time, whatever Wagner those people have were just reprints. However, Jeffy also sent me images of his card, and what caught my attention was the Piedmont back, since it looks very authentic. However, I'm still 100% sure his card is just a reprint, since the front image has all the characteristics of what reprint cards have. So I just replied to Jeffy and point out that the letters and spacing of the name field Wagner Pittsburgh are completely different from a real Wagner. I asked Jeffy whether he can inspect the edges of the card, since I suspect it could be a sandwich card, because the image that I have seen so far has glue or water stains of some sort on the card. Then after a day or two, I got the following reply.
So I had a guy who was a professional grader for 20 years. He's retired. I showed him the card and he spent 4 hours with his loupe and light, and he says it doesn't look like it's sandwich. The stain he questioned, you could see the stain on both sides, and he thinks that the lettering is oil paste, and he said printing press was never accurate all the time, and he said the paper just feels like it's from the old era. He mentioned take it to a printing press company and they could maybe test the paper.
Then I suggest Jeffrey, why don't you submit the card and let it grade it? And he told me he has already done that.
I sent it to Beckett because it was cheaper. They said it was questionable. They couldn't 100% verify.
And Jeffy also told me Beckett refund his $160 submission fee. With all this email exchange, I was thinking this could be another example of the Cobb and Edwards Wagner. If anyone is not familiar with that card, you can look it up on the internet. The Cobb and Edwards Wagner was very famous at one time. It has a Piedmont back, and even ESPN had a TV episode about that card. To make a long story short, the owners of that card believed they had a real Wagner, but with variations. They went through the trouble of testing the age and composition of the paper. They tried to submit the card to PSA, but the owners request to be present during the grading process, which is against PSA policy. The story goes on for years and even touches on race issues, since the owners are African American. Anyway, let's get back to the topic. Because Jeffy had tried submitting the card to Beckett and also had it checked by a retired professional grader, I was really curious about the card and asked where Jeffy lives. It turns out he lives close by, so we decided to meet up at a local Starbucks for me to check out the card. The morning we were going to meet, I prepared all the gadgets like black light loops, magnifying glass, gloves, etc. And I also bought along a few authentic T206 and a few reprints that I have for comparison. I really thought it could take a few hours to figure out what's going on with Jeffrey's card, since so many people have looked at it and could not draw a conclusion. So I finally met Jeffrey at Starbucks, and he handed me his Wagner. The card was in a magnetic card holder wrapped in bubble wrap. I popped open the holder and didn't even bother to look at the card front, and just flip it over to check the Piedmont back. I put the card under my lighted loupe, and I was pretty certain it was just a reprint. At that moment, I really could have just packed up and go home. As you can see from this picture, you can see all the dot matrix printing pattern, even in the area that are supposed to be white. Needless to say, I was kind of disappointed, since I thought this would be a more challenging task to check the authenticity of the card. But since I was already there and with all the stuff I bought with me, I decided to spend some time educating Jeffrey on what I look for and how his cut compares to an authentic T206. So throughout the whole meeting, I use a real Honey Wagner for comparison, since it is easier to compare the lettering and stuff, because it is also a quote-to-quote a Wagner card. However, my Honey Wagner is not a regular Wagner. It is a top-bottom miscut, so it has a bit of the image showing on the bottom. Anyways, I used my real T206 to educate Jeffrey that the letters and spacing on his card are completely off compared to a real T206. I told him if his card was real, the area that are supposed to be white should show pure white and not tiny colored dots. I also point out that if the black frame isn't a solid black line and shown as a dot matrix pattern, then it is a clear giveaway that the card is only a reprint and definitely not from 100 years ago. I also went through the trouble of putting cards under a black light to see how they look. As you can see, the middle card is the card from Jeffrey, and the crease and corners area shows strong white contrast under the black light compared to the authentic T206 on the right hand side. Just to be fair, one thing I did notice is that the paper stock of Jeffrey's card looks pretty old and could be from older paper stock. However, that doesn't mean his Wagner isn't a reprint, since a reprint is still a reprint, whether it was printed 50 years ago or 20 years ago or just recently using older paper stock for such printing. Anyways, our meeting lasts about 45 minutes and I'm still scratching my head as to why no one else could confirm this Wagner was just a reprint. Am I just a T206 guru, or should I not expect all sports card collectors or retired sport card graders or even Beckett to know T206 at all? One other interesting thing I found out from Jeffrey was that he has never seen or touched a real T206 card. So none of the people he met actually use a real T206 card for comparison. Anyways, I hope you like this video. If you have any T206 card that you aren't sure are authentic or not, feel free to email me. But I probably will not meet up with people in person anymore. Thanks for watching.